The draft is a crapshoot. Wait, which draft am I talking about specifically? It doesn't matter because they're all crapshoots. Is crapshoot even a real thing? Who knows? Even in the 2010s, when the draft has legitimately become a science, no one is really on the money every time. In fact, there are more misses than hits. The draft is about knowing you're going to fuck up somewhere, but trying to recoup your losses with a surefire first rounder or a hidden gem later. But some misses are so catastrophic and hilarious that they can't be ignored. In fact, they must be commemorated, even celebrated, as we lose the 2010s to the ether of time. Let's shoot some crap, shall we? The biggest draft busts of the decade are coming up right after this.
The 2010s were a rough decade for men. Man bun, mansplaining, man spreading. Well, it's 2020, it's time to take the word man back. And that starts with man soap. I have been using Dr. Squatch to cleanse myself, and it is 100% the highest quality soap that is made for real men. Stop using weak-ass soap that dries your skin or leads to irritation and acne, or leaves you smelling like you stepped out of a tulip garden. Dr. Squatch refuses to cut corners with their high-quality, traditionally made soap that uses all natural ingredients and comes in amazing, manly scents. Personally, I like pine tar as it's both the MVP in the shower and gives you confidence to round the bases. You know what I mean. I like Dr. Squatch so much I want you to try it risk-free. That's right, with their satisfaction guarantee, they are so confident that you'll love it. If you aren't satisfied, they'll give you your money back. No questions asked. So after this video, click on my link below and get 30% off their top seller pack plus free shipping. Remember, you have nothing to lose. It's a new decade, man, and it's time to clean yourself like one. Dr. Squatch.
Number 10, Justin Blackmon. One of the big reasons Brandon Weeden was worth a first rounder at age 57 was the guy he was throwing to at Oklahoma State, a big, fast, bruising wide receiver by the name of Justin Blackmon. The Jaguars picked Blackmon with the 5th overall pick in the 2012 draft, ahead of players like freshly retired Luke Kuechly, Fletcher Cox, and Stephon Gilmore. Not great, Shahid. Blackmon's talent was never in question, and neither was his production for that matter. In his rookie season, Blackmon hauled in 64 passes for 865 yards and 5 scores. From Chad Henne and Blaine Yo Gabba Gabbert no less. He looked like he was headed for greatness in year 2 as well, averaging over 100 yards per game in 4 games. The problem? He never played again. Blackmon was suspended for violating the substance abuse policy, racked up a marijuana arrest, and a DUI. Never reinstated, but Blackmon has remained on the Jags reserve list even as of 2019. Number 9, Josh Jackson. If you are ever wondering why the Suns are the way that they are, just remember that they took Josh Jackson ahead of guys like De'Aaron Fox, Lauri Markkanen, I'm not saying that, and Donovan Mitchell in the 2017 draft. Jackson was touted as an elite athlete out of Kansas that could score, play defense, and go coast to coast. Not quite. Taken with the 4th overall pick, Jackson never caught on in Phoenix, shooting just 26% from 3 his rookie year and just 1 assist a game. After just 2 years, the Suns shipped him off to Memphis, where he was sent to their G League, aka one step above a labor camp in China, to work out the kinks. The book isn't closed on Jackson yet, but the sun is slowly setting. Number 8, Bubba Starling. With a first name like Bubba and a last name with Star in it, you have to produce.
I gotta find Bubba!
The 5th pick in the 2011 draft by the Kansas City Royals has not yet produced. Typically, you want a top 5 pick to be in the majors within a few years. But Starling was drafted in 2011 and just made his MLB debut in 2019. You know what? That's pretty darn impressive when you think about it. 8 years in the farm system to finally get the call is worthy of some praise, just not what you want from a top 5 pick. Starling batted .215 with 4 dingers last season, 1 for each of the players picked ahead of him. Number 7, Luke Joeckel. The 2013 NFL Draft was a bust in and of itself, but the Jacksonville Jaguars managed to f*** it up worse than anyone else when they took tackle Luke Joeckel with the 2nd overall pick. The Chiefs took tackle Eric Fisher first, and he could probably be considered a disappointment too, despite making a Pro Bowl, but Joeckel proved the Chiefs took the right O-lineman. In his first 4 years as a Jag, Joeckel went on IR twice, was called one of the worst linemen in the league by PFF, and surrendered 8 sacks in 2014. Jacksonville declined his fifth-year option, and the former second overall pick spent a year in Seattle before fading into perpetual free agency. To make matters worse, the next tackle taken 2 spots behind Joeckel, Eagles All-Pro Lane Johnson. Number 6, Nail Yakupov. In the 2012 NHL entry draft, which is in its entirety is pretty much a joke, the Edmonton Oilers really hit the something on the head with their first overall pick, Nail Yakupov, out of Russia. Due to the 2012 lockout and problems with eligibility, Yakupov didn't get to see any real action until 2013 when he suited up for Edmonton and scored a goal in his second ever game. After that, well, it didn't go so well. In his following 5 seasons with the Oilers, Blues, and Avalanche, Yakupov scored just 45 goals between 2013 and 2018 and became the punchline of every joke involving the Oilers and 3 consecutive number 1 overall picks. Hammer, meet Niall. Number 5, Paxton Lynch. Fortnite champion, NFL bust. Paxton Lynch was the Broncos' first-round pick in 2016, tapped to succeed Peyton Manning at quarterback in Denver. He had all the tools, a rocket arm, good speed, a lot of height, and a weird mustache-beard combo. But he lacked one quality. Ironically, the Broncos went from the hardest worker off the field to one of the worst. Lynch struggled to grasp the offense, and Denver reporter Ben Albright noted that the Broncos wanted desperately for Lynch to put down the controller and pick up the playbook. Didn't happen. Lynch failed to beat out Trevor Siemian for a starting job in his first 2 years, getting trotted out for just 4 games and winning 1. And famously, of course, one good cry sesh in Oakland. Lynch was cut by the Broncos in his 3rd training camp, leading to a stint in Seattle and finally a backup job in Pittsburgh. He has proved to be one of the least accomplished first-round quarterbacks ever, but worry not, he can adjust his own rating in Madden. Number 4, Jimmer Fredette. What's a list of bad draft picks without a special cameo from the Sacramento Kings? From the same franchise that brought you Quincy Douby, Thomas Robinson, and Georgios Papagiannis, the Kings' greatest worst pick was Jimmer Fredette, the sharpshooter out of BYU. Jimmer wasn't god-awful by any means. He actually had a season-and-a-half stretch where he shot about 45% from 3. He just wasn't athletic enough to stay on the court because he couldn't do anything on defense. And he couldn't create his own shot like in college. The worst part was that Sac took him 1 pick ahead of Klay Thompson, a player who was as good a shot as Jimmer and was as athletic and long enough to become a lockdown defender. And of course, 5 picks later, the Spurs found a guy named Kawhi Leonard. Oh well, at least the Kings have learned. Number 3, Marc Appel. The Astros tore down their team in order to rebuild, gather assets, and parlay them into a sustained winner. Cheating! They did that by drafting guys like Carlos Carrera, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and Dallas Keuchel. But unlike a trash can aided at bat, one of their picks was a huge whip. With the first pick in the 2013 draft, a pick they earned by losing 107 games, the Astros took former Stanford pitcher Marc Appel. Who, you might be asking? And rightfully so. Barring a miracle comeback, Appel is the 3rd first overall pick to never make the majors. With a history of injuries, troubles with his command, and an overall lack of production, Appel was traded to the Phillies in 2015 and did not catch on there either. As of last year, he has stepped away from baseball. You know what they say, don't let one apple... Oh, screw you, you knew that was coming. Number 2, Anthony Bennett. It's hard to make fun of someone as polite as the average Canadian, but in trashing Anthony Bennett, know that we're really trashing the Cavaliers. The Cavs lucked into 5 top 5 picks in the post-LeBron era of 2011 through 2014, and aside from the 2011 class where they used the 1st overall pick on Kyrie Irving, and then the 4th on Tristan Thompson, none of them panned out. Dion Waiters,
Smoke weed every day.
Andrew Wiggins, and Anthony Bennett, the 1st overall pick in the 2014 NBA draft. To be fair, the 2014 draft was not particularly star-studded, but there were far better picks to be made, and the Cavs took the worst of the bunch. Bennett, a 6'8" power forward out of UNLV, was picked at the top of a first round that included Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter, CJ McCollum, Steven Adams, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I said that one right. Bennett failed to score in the double figures until January of his rookie season, emblematic of his struggles, and was included alongside Andrew Wiggins in the trade LeBron made to Minnesota that scored Kevin Love for the Cavs, one of the major pieces of their 2016 championship. Okay, so maybe we should be making fun of the Timberwolves here. Bennett has bounced around from Minnesota to Toronto, Brooklyn, Turkey, and the G League. Currently a free agent, Bennett is widely regarded as one of the greatest busts in history. Number 1. Johnny Manziel.
Here's Johnny.
The Browns traded up to select the Texas A&M Heisman-winning quarterback with the 22nd overall pick, which is exactly where they took Brady Quinn 8 years prior. Manziel was one of the most polarizing picks in recent memory. Some scouts called him a game changer, others undraftable. The latter proved to be right. By the way, the next 3 quarterbacks taken were Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo. All 3 have led their teams to the playoffs, and one made Aaron Andrews blush like Al Davis seeing 4.4 speed. Manziel's debut was truly special. The Browns handed him the offense in Week 15 of the 2014 season and promptly lost 30-0. 10 of 18, 80 yards, 2 picks, and it didn't get much better. Manziel, in between stints in rehab, tossed just 7 touchdowns in his NFL career and won just 2 of his 8 starts before getting the boot from Cleveland as a result of domestic violence charges. Johnny cleaned up his act and tried his hand in the CFL, but was worse, throwing 5 touchdowns and 7 picks, including 4 in his very first start, before somehow getting banned in Canada, and they probably apologized for that. By the way, Manziel was also selected in the 28th round of the 2014 MLB draft by the Padres, so technically he was a bust in 2 leagues. Drafting is hard, we know that. It also includes a lot of luck, but a lot of these picks are indefensible, humiliating, franchise-altering levels of bad. So as the 2020s begin and teams get better at drafting, let us revel in the days when drafting a gamer, an addict, and worst of all, a Canadian could just about ruin your decade. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to check out our sponsor, Dr. Squatch, and visit the link below and get 30% off their best-selling pack and free shipping. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.